Alright guys, let's take a look at the new Koss KPH40 utility. This is, I think the utility is kind of a newer line that Koss is doing. I believe there's a Porta-Pro utility as well. I haven't tried those yet. These are my first of their new ones. Very unique looking retro style still with Koss. Let's go over the box first. There ain't nothing important on the front. There's our specs right here on the side as usual. 15 hertz to 25,000 hertz, 60 ohm, 101 dB sensitivity, 4 foot or 1.2 meter cord, and the standard 3.5 millimeter or 1/8 inch headphone jack. And the 60 ohm at 101 dB is a pretty good whatever you want to call it, resistance to sensitivity, so you're still going to be able to drive these pretty easily with about anything. I test all these with just my Samsung Galaxy S9, and it usually is able to drive all these just fine. And then I also, as my budget PC option, I use this Sound Blaster Play 3 as my budget PC option. This is pretty simple. You plug it into USB. There's some software for it, and that gives you some options to tinker with the sound and do other things. And then you get a headset jack. I say headset because it's a 4-pole for a microphone, and then a microphone jack. But anyway, even this is not super powerful. It does say it does have a low gain and a high gain setting in the software, so you can do high gain up to 300 ohm headphones, and even this little $20 USB DAC thing has no problem powering them. And then obviously I've been also using the FX Audio DAC X6 over there, and it has no problem powering them either. And then where the utility comes in, move over here, you can see on the back of the box, this is what it comes with right here. And the utility is that part where the headphones disconnect right here, which we'll look at in a second. But the default cord it comes with is a 3.5 millimeter or your standard small headphone jack. But a lot of newer devices, like phones mostly, are switching. They're getting rid of the headphone jack, and they're just using USB or lightning ports. So what they've done, sold separately by the way, you can unplug at that junction and get a cord that goes from their little, I think it's a 2.5 millimeter 4-pole to a USB-C. See here, USB-C to 2.5. Or if you have an iPhone or Apple device, you can get a cord, utility cord that plugs into that junction that switches it to a lightning port. And then the third option, which is one that's included, is the 3.5 to 2.5. The 2.5 doesn't matter because that's always going to plug into the headphone. So yeah, you get an option overall of USB Type-C, lightning port, or standard 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. What I don't like is that these are sold separately, and I don't remember how much they are. I want to say they're like 10 or 15 bucks for each one. So, and then the price of the headphone right now is 40 bucks, which makes them the most expensive Koss headphones I have at a whopping $40. But they're new, so I wouldn't be surprised as time goes on if these float around $30 to $40. You might be able to get them a little cheaper, but if you want to use any of these, you're gonna have to pay that extra money from Koss to get them, which it's a good idea, but at the same time, I've already been using something that does the same thing, and it only cost me like, I want to say it's like 10 bucks on Amazon. So maybe if Koss gets the price of their utility adapters down, or just include them, offer a KPH40i kit or something, or a premium that includes all the adapters for, make it 50 bucks and you get all the adapters. But this is just a little USB 3.5 to USB-C adapter. $10. It's not a fancy one. Some of these you can have higher end DACs and stuff built into them, but this is just a standard one. It sounds fine. I wouldn't say it's audiophile quality, but it sounds good enough. It's going to sound just fine for most people. And instead of buying one of Koss's little deals that come with a whole extra cord, you just buy this for $10 on Amazon. They have ones that are even less. And now any 3.5 headphone is USB-C. So like now I can plug it into my phone. So now I don't need their adapter because I didn't have this option with the KPH40i for the last couple of years. So I've been using these, and then when I got my new Galaxy S20, no headphone jack, I just bought this little adapter. Oops, that's not how that goes. And boom, now I can use my KPH30i's with my phone. So what they've done here is nice, but they've kind of been beat to the punch. I don't know where it may differ is in these two. Since you're going from an analog to a digital to an analog, there has to be a small DAC chip inside here. Tiny little DAC chip and tiny little well, not amplifier, but a tiny DAC chip to convert that digital to analog. And then I guess it would have to have an output stage, I suppose. But either way, these could be tuned by Koss. I don't know. If Koss R&D these, whatever, to work specifically with these to keep their specific Koss sound, I don't know. They could do that. So it doesn't say anywhere that these are specifically, tuned, we'll say, to work specifically with the KPH40. I don't know. I'd have to buy the USB-C one and compare it against something like this, just a generic $10 USB to 3.5 adapter. Because the DAC that's in this says it's like, I don't know, like 110 signal to noise and 24-bit, yada, 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 yada. All those big fancy numbers that make people think stuff's better. So only way I would know is if I actually got the Koss one and tried it against something like this one. And even different versions of these that you buy could sound different because they use different DACs, different output stages, different circuitry. They can sound a little different. So if someone from Koss sees this or whatever, I think you already have my email address. I'd like to know if those are tuned to work specifically with these headphones or not. Does it really matter? I don't know. I do like the idea, but like I said, I initially, first glance, I thought they were gonna be included in the box, but oh well. Moving on, let's actually start looking at the actual headphone. Nice straight 3.5 jack. Not as nice as the KPH40i's. The KPH40i's, I shouldn't really have these tied up right now. There we go. I do still like this one more. If it'll focus on it, which is probably not going to want to, because it has that metal spring retention on there. I just cannot get this thing to focus today. But yeah, you get the idea. It has a really nice connection, really nice plug that's held up very well over the years. This one's a similar plug, but no retention right here. So maybe that won't be an issue. It feels very durable, so maybe it won't be an issue. And then you get this wonderful flat cord. I do like the flat cords. They are less prone to tangle. They're kind of weird sometimes the way they move, but they do tangle less. And it's a really soft, very flexible rubber cord, flat rubber cord. And then that leads up to the utility portion of these. This plug right here that we were just talking about. You can pull this, pull that apart. And it's a 2.5 into there. And then see, it does have a little bit of a retention grommet right there on this end. Why not on the other end? Yeah, that just plugs into there. Nice and tight, snug. And then it comes up and splits. Goes into each earphone. And this is where we get to they have a very like modern retro design, I guess. It's got the old wire frame, but it's been fancied up with a kind of a nice like graphite coating. It is metal, it's not plastic. This is all steel. And then instead of having it move up here, adjust up here and pulling your hair, it adjusts over here and pulls your sideburns. And then you got your left indicator in blue, right indicator in red. And then you can see as you move that around, that's how that adjusts. Gotta keep focus. I will say it doesn't seem to pull your hair as bad as some of the other old metal headband metal headphones. And it's a pretty again a pretty deliberate move, so they tend to stay where you put them. Easy to adjust. And then getting down to the earphones, you have this metal part that wraps around kind of like the KPH40, and then they put this snap in there. And if I can get the light in there, you can see how that swivels on there. It's got a nice little swivel. So when you put it on your head, it's got quite a bit of adjustment too, so it can really flex to sit on your ears, sit flush on your ears when it's on your head. And they are super light, obviously, because they are so little. This doesn't really seem to get too annoying or anything, even though it is a narrow band. Since they are so light, they don't seem to bug me at all. It would be kind of cool if it did have a little skinny silicone strip up here, not necessarily loose like this, but take a piece of this, the width of the headband, and just put a little bit across the top here, just so it grips the top of your head just a little bit. And because they don't move much, but since they don't have a ton of clamping force because they're just, basically a wire, if you do tip your head forward fast enough and stuff, they do tend to sit on your ears like this, and the top does tend to move a little bit. But I think if it had a little piece of that silicone up here, that would have solved that problem. And then my only main conundrum with them is the earpieces are smaller. Like the Koss seems to be a good size. They sit on your ears. It's an on-ear headphone. These are smaller, which is fine. They look a lot like the old KSC 30s before the KSC 75, and they just put a headband on it. Which, another little fun fact about these is if you really like KSC 75s and you just want a headband for them, this the ear clip thing here that snaps onto these, you can unsnap the ear clip off your KSC 75s and unsnap these and snap them to this headband. And then you can have your KSC 75s with a KPH40 headband. It's the same snap system. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to switch them around. I found on eBay you can just buy a headband like this that has the Koss snaps for like $10. So, but yeah, if you own a set of these, you could switch them back and forth at the risk of maybe the plastic breaking, because I doubt it's designed to be, snapped in and out all the time. But it could be done, or you could buy 2 sets of these and unsnap these and snap the KSC 75 ear clips on if you like the ear clips more, and switch it up a little bit. But probably the only thing I don't like about them is the way they sit on your head. Since they're so light and they don't have much clamping force, and these are small, to get the best sound out of them, you got to make sure these are right over your ear hole. Which is, I don't know, like a lot of like these and over ear headphones, when you put them on, You don't have to think much. You just put them on and they go right to where they pretty much need to be or where they're comfortable. These, you kind of have to move them around and get them adjusted for a second so they're right over your ear. And it's just, since they have so much movement, and then the headband is so light, and then there's nothing up here gripping, which I'm gonna adjust that. This silicone stuff, you can buy it somewhere. I think you can get it like to put on your countertops or something to set hot stuff on, or you can get pieces of it to put on the dash of your car to set your phone on, so it kind of grips your phone. If you like to set your phone on the dash and you don't want to slide around, you get those silicone pads for cheap, which is basically the same as this. And I'm going to cut a strip of that stuff out, and I'm going to glue it across the top here so I have a little bit of grip. And then maybe that'll help. But yeah, that's my only complaint. Is it's not that they're uncomfortable. They're comfortable. It's just when I first put them on, I kind of gotta move them around and get them centered over my ear. Because for me anyway, they did seem to sound the best when you get them positioned just right. Now, moving into sound, these are probably not probably, out of all the Koss headphones I have, which I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets now, these are the best sounding. Probably, I don't know if they're using a different driver or not, or if they've just tuned them. They're continuously tuning for a better and better driver, whatever. These, nobody would ever guess it by looking at them, because they just look like some old chintzy Walkman headphones. I had some Sony, I think they were Sony or Philips, came with these. That came with the old cassette Sony Walkman I had. It's a lot like them. Obviously, the build quality is better. But you would never guess that these sound as good as they do. It's ridiculous when you put them on. Most people are probably going to make fun of you. It's, I don't know, it's like having a pair of Velcro strap shoes made by Nike or something. I don't know. They don't look really that impressive, but boy, I wouldn't say they're like miles ahead of the KPH40. The main thing I noticed is they just seem a tiny bit more refined. The treble is just a tad bit more clear, little bit more just delicately, sparkly, whatever audiophile terms you want. Just the faintest of, light, trebly details are clean and clear. So it seems that they brought the distortion down in the driver. The mids are very neutral. They don't get harsh. The voices sound fine. Acoustics sound great. And then the bass, it seems like they cleaned up bass just a touch. The bass is just a bit more defined and a bit more punchy than the KPH40. And that's not over these. These KPH30I's originals have a little bit smoother sound. Still good detail and everything, but it's just a little bit more, I'd say softer, smoother, to where the clears, which is a later model of the 30i, it seemed like they tightened it up a little bit. These are a little more analytical than smooth and warm. But then these take it to the next level where they've squeeze a little bit more detail and a little more punch kind of out of the whole thing. Even these, it would have been these at the time. I had my Sennheiser HD 6XX. Those are $300 headphones. I found myself using these even more and more and more and more, to the point where I was almost never using the Sennheisers, and then also using these just as much. Unfortunately, I have the KSC 75s, but I hardly ever use them because I'm not really a fan of the ear clip. That's why I'm going to order that headband, because these also sound very good for 15 bucks. These are kind of going to be the same way. I like that they're so small and light. They're easy to have around. They're not expensive, so if something does happen to them, it's not the end of the world. But these will probably live on my desk for a while. They're probably going to take place of the KPH30Is for a while. I still prefer these for comfort, as far as just grabbing them and throwing them on your head. These are by far the best out of all the Koss I've tried. They're just so easy, and the silicone headband, they're good weight, good clamp force. Just, I don't know, got nothing really bad to say about them. These, though, since they sound just a tad better, and I can do that silicone headband, I want to tinker with them for a little while. Yeah, these will be around for a while. There's no way I'm getting rid of them. As far as the utility, not like I said, it doesn't really matter to me. It's nice that Koss was thinking in that direction, but it's already kind of been solved by a lot of these, and it's I guess it's fine that they're offering their own solution, but I guess I'm sure at some point somebody may come out with their own 3.5 to 2.5, high end cord that they'll plug into this and say it makes them sound better. Who knows? But to date, I haven't tried the Porta Pro utility. I don't know if they use the same driver or if they're still using the last gen Porta Pro driver and then they just added this utility option to it. But as of now, these are the best sounding Koss headphones I've had. I haven't had any of the over-ear, the bigger ones like the Pro 4S or any of those, but as far as these small, affordable ones, hands down, these are the best. It's still just ridiculous how good they sound. They for how small they are, they put out pretty darn good bass. It's not going to be ear shaking like some of these other bigger over-ear headphones, but they put out plenty of bass. For a typical music listener. Now, most of these Koss headphones, once I get done getting most of them reviewed and out of the way, I want to, unless Amir at Audio Science Review already has some, I was going to offer to send all these over to him if he wants to test them. Because I don't have a way to measure headphones. I can only measure speakers. So I know I think 1 or 2 people have done measurements on the KPH40Is, but I haven't seen any measurements on the KSC75s. Obviously, these new KPH40s. And I also got a review coming on these. These are the KTX Pro 1s. Also from Koss. So, yeah, it'd be nice if I could just send a whole bundle of these Koss headphones in and get them all measured. So, anyway, if you're looking for a modern retro style affordable headphone that sounds really good, and I literally mean really good. I just had the Hi-Fi Man Sundaras, and those do sound really good. But I probably would still take these over. I guess the Sundaras, even though they sound super good and everything, they're really comfortable. I still think these have better, just more, I don't know, they're just more fun to listen to. They get plenty loud without distorting. I put them on and crank them up, and you can run them to the point of pretty much uncomfortable, and they still sound fine. It's ridiculous, again, because you look at them and you just think these things are going to sound terrible. And no, put them on, crank them up. They sound amazing. Again, I was listening to my KPH30Is over my HD6XXs, over my Philips Ship 9500s, pretty much over anything else I had at the time, and that's the way it stayed. And now it'll probably be these, and it makes these kind of headphones makes it hard to justify buying expensive headphones, because I end up listening to these instead anyway. So not talking bad about the Sundaras, but if I had both of them sitting here, I would listen to these. So that's it. So I don't know. Take what you want from it. Comments, questions, whatever, down below. They'll be linked in the description. All that. Blah blah blah. Thanks for watching. All right. Bye guys.